people? What's good? It's me, L Teddy 27. All of that good stuff. Angry Teacher Chronicles. And this is my review for Love and Hip Hop Miami Season 3, Episode 7. Yeah, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7. So, this was a filler episode. This was an episode where we're the middle of the season and we just trying to, fight through, continuing to develop storylines and all of that stuff. So a lot of this stuff we truly could have shoved into a half an episode. But y'all know how Mona does it. Anyway, Joy and Trina meet up to talk about Trick being arrested. And the fact that Trick needs help. But we all know Trick. Trick ain't trying to hear it. Trick ain't trying to get no help. Trick ain't trying to listen to your interventions. And all of that dumb stuff in his estimation. But they meet up and they talk about, wanting to truly help Trick. Because this is, Joy and Trina have known Trick 20 plus years at this point. So they both have a vested interest in making sure, even if Trina have a back and forth in words and they fall out, that's still her friend. And she don't want, and if that's your friend, even if you fall out with your friend, you don't want to see hurt, harm, or danger come toward them. Joy, on the other hand, I still can't kind of shake the thought that she perhaps does have a little bit of feelings of want to get back with Trick. But I know most of this is her being concerned about his health and well-being. Shay goes to meet up with JoJo. Now, I have to commend Shay for this. She's trying to go and mend fences with JoJo because of her relationship with Amara. Now, if you can do more of this, Shay, we might like you a little better. But even in this scene, I couldn't help but think, how is this whore going to make this go left? I'm just saying. So, but I can respect this, Shay. They have a cool conversation, but maybe I was in and out of the conversation, but I don't know that anything got worked out. But I guess it did. Then we see Amara getting everything together for the show. Whew. Y'all see how boring this episode was. I was like, why is MJ there? What is his purpose? Like, why he doesn't know anything about, well, maybe he does, I don't know. But as far as I know, he don't know nothing about the music industry. He don't know nothing about being a manager. He don't know nothing about putting shows together, this, that, and the third. All he kept saying to her was, don't worry about it. Just calm down. It's going to work itself out. No, that's not how this works. Things don't work themselves out. They have to be worked out. That's how a successful show is put on. People behind the scenes working things out. MJ, I feel like is trying to be more of a boyfriend than somebody who's truly concerned with the businesswoman that is Amara, who's truly trying to make sure that this show goes off without a hitch and that every, stone, that no stone is left unturned, that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed and all the lowercase J's are dotted and the lowercase F's are crossed. Okay? But I guess they talk about her father and the fact that she invited her father. And she feels that her mom is going to have a problem with it. Now, let me say this. And I'm going to say a little more when she talks with her mom later in the episode. That is Amara's father, not her mother's father. And it's up to her to decide what kind of relationship she has with her father, the level of contact or face-to-face time, or the level of love that she has for her father. That's her decision, not her mother's, because that's not her mother's father. That is her father. And the relationship she has with her father is completely up to her, regardless of how her mother should feel. That's how, and I'll talk about that a little later. Trick then comes on camera in his little confessional. And he said, listen, I'm not talking about the arrest on camera. Ooh, y'all. Y'all see how bored I am with it. I'm not talking about it. I'm not discussing it. I don't want to know. I'm sorry, I don't want y'all to know what happened, because when I talk about it on camera, the courts and the lawyers and stuff are going to use this against me in court. And I just can't. And the messy ass producer kept trying to ask him. He said, no, I'm not talking about this. Then we see Hood Brat, Chameleon, and Sukihana. They meet up to discuss trying to continue to put on this tour without Trina. So they were throwing out ideas about names for the tours, a name for them as a group, and this, that, and the third. So they started talking about the BAPS tour. I couldn't help but think in my mind, isn't this some kind of copyright infringement if they call it the BAPS tour? Like, isn't it some kind of copyright infringement on the movie that was made? I'm just asking. Just asking. Inquiring minds want to know. But whatever, honey. Sukihana then starts crying because in her mind, she's the first artist that ever had children and that ever had to balance having a music career and struggling through and also raising kids at the same time. Because she's the only person in the history of the music industry to ever go through this. Now, Sukihana, when you decided to toot that thing up, mommy, and make it roll on some young man's penis and allow them to nut up in you, and you get pregnant and give birth to said child at 17, you gave up the right to complain about not being able to hang out and do all of those things because you made that decision. Whatever, honey. Moving on. Hood Brat then goes to go see her sister. I had to remember, I looked at the clock. I noticed, oh, we're at the bottom of the hour. What does Mona always tries to do at the bottom of the hour? She always tries to give you this touchy-feely little moment or whatever. And here we have Hood Brat talking with her older sister, Margie. Now, the big sister, Margie, just moved out of the Beans. What's the Beans? The Poke and Beans projects in Miami. Big sis just moved out the Beans over to a house. Now, big sister started to tell Hood Brat, you over here concerned about the money and trying to be able to help me financially. I got that. What I need is help physically. I need you here to help me with these kids. Because I got two of my own kids. You ain't got not nail child around here. And I need help. And if you truly want to help me, you can be more active and involved in these kids' lives. And that's what I need from you. I need you here physically, not so much financially. Big sister then started to, talk about the fact that she really hasn't had a chance to mourn the death of their sister, because she had to be there for everybody. She had to be strong for the kids and the rest of the family and this, that, and the third. And she's just really having a hard time with it. And her having to still raise all of these kids and so forth, and Hood Brat not being there and not giving her her moments to try and grieve. And it looks like Hood Brat has had some time to not fully maybe grieve, but to start the process at least of getting all of this emotion out. But Big Sis has not had that opportunity. So then, and this may come off as insensitive, but you got Hood Brat crying and breaking down and this, that, and the third, talking about conversations that her and her sister had before she died. And while we may be sympathetic to that at the end of the day, you and all of these tears and all this breaking down is not going to help raise these kids. Because kids are still there needing to be raised. Kids are still there needing time and energy spent with them. And so while these tears may help you out, it's not helping the situation that big sister and the family is in. And if you truly are there to help the family, baby, let's start to wipe up these tears and talk about how we're going to be there for these kids. I'm just saying. We then see Amara at home getting everything together and prepared for this concert or performance. And she's, you can see she's kind of stressed trying to put everything together. But I'm glad that she's doing this without MJ being there, trying to coax her and coddle her. I'm glad she's there by herself. Her mom comes in, and she starts to tell her mom, all about, how she's stressed out. Then she tells her mom about inviting her dad. And her mom goes on this long tirade about how her dad ain't shit and this, that, and the third. But I have to maintain, even if her dad did you wrong, Mom, that was your boyfriend, husband, fuck buddy, or whatever he was to you. And that's a little different. Because you can divorce a husband. You can break up with your boyfriend. You can stop seeing the side piece. But if that's your parent, there's no removing yourself from a parent. There's no excommunication from a parent. Well, you can't excommunicate yourself from them, but you will still always be tied to them because that's your parent. And that is Amara's dad. And if she says, yeah, he treated you that way, that's still my dad, and I need to have this relationship, then she has that right, regardless of how you feel about it. Amara starts to go on about all of her daddy issues that she has and how that it has influenced her relationship and the things that she's going through in life. Okay, that happened. But my point is, for everything that Amara's mom feels negatively about that dad, it's not up to her. She does not get to decide whether or not Amara has a relationship with her dad, and she needs to understand that. We then see Trina and Joy. They pop up at Trick's restaurant because he ain't answering their phone calls, they text. He's not responding to them, and they're trying to check up on him and see if he's good. So they talk to him and tell him, all of this, that, and the third. Of course, he's not trying to take ownership in any of this stuff involving his health and his well-being and everything that went on with the arrest. So then Joy tells Trina, give me a chance to talk to him alone. So Joy talks to Trick alone. And she, is concerned. She tells him, listen, I know we on the brink of divorce and we're not together. But I want you to know that I do care about your well-being, and I do want to know that you are going to be okay and that you are taking care of yourself. And you could tell by looking at Trick, he wanted to hear that. And I think by that little gesture, Joy might have gotten through to him to where maybe he may start to listen to Joy, and because he's hopeful that maybe this will be the start of them getting back together. I don't know. It's possible, because you could tell Joy still got feelings there too, but I don't know. But I guess the consolation prize is the fact that at least Trick looks like he may start to take care of himself a little better if Joy pays him some attention. We then see Amara at her show. Bobby Lights comes, Shay's there, JoJo there. Of course, MJ is there. I don't have to say that he came with Amara. But Bobby Lights, Shay, and JoJo show up. Now, Shay and JoJo seem to be all friendly and chummy with each other. This, that, and the third. But they talk about, Shay introduces JoJo to her brother MJ. And JoJo is like, oh, I've met him before, this, that, and the third. But I took note, the way JoJo said to Shay that she knew who MJ was very different from how JoJo told Amara she knew MJ. When she told Shay, it seemed like, oh yeah, I met him maybe like in passing, or maybe they was at an event together. She met him. She ain't trying to make it seem like they was talking or they was chatting back and forth in that level. What is the truth, JoJo? And if it is true that you weren't really friends, or you weren't as close to MJ as you tried to make it to Amara, that's fucked up, because you were really trying to make Amara feel bad and make Amara jealous. But if it is true that you and Amara, not you and Amara, you and MJ were close with each other to that point where y'all was texting back and forth and perhaps was trying to see what was going to be what, then bitch, you ain't shit. You a scary ass hoe, because you was scared that Shay might have had something to say about it and snatched your ass. Child. Amara's dad does show up. Her mom is there and all of that stuff. And it was more of Shay and JoJo being all friendly and chummy with each other. Child, how long will this last, honey? Because Shay can't stay friends with nobody for too long. I'm just saying. Anyway, at the end of the show, we get the whole touchy-feely moment with Amara and her dad, and they have this conversation. I couldn't shake the feeling of wishing that this would have been off camera. I don't think that this was a conversation. I don't think that this intimate moment between Amara and her dad should have happened on camera. I do think some things should be kept private and should be left off camera. And this was one of those instances where there is history and there is a tumultuous past here. And I do think that this should have been something that should have happened, sans the media, the cameras, the lights, the action, and all of that. And I couldn't help but shake that feeling. But it's a Mona Scott Young production. And it is what it is. That was Love and Hip Hop Miami Season 3. What episode is this? Episode 7. And it is what it is. It gave what it gave. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Whether or not you agree or disagree with me. That's all I got for y'all this week. Until next week. Thank y'all for coming. Y'all drive safely.